My name is Wally Rouda. I'm your host for today's BizTalk. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a wet afternoon in Singapore. I hope you're all comfortable, and I look forward to presenting this BizTalk to you. Today, we're going to continue from the previous BizTalk about the elements and the important factors required for success of business in the 21st century. Let me share my screen. Today, we're going to talk about the importance that simplicity and transparency plays in today's 21st century business model. This is a continuation of the previous BizTalk that we did. Let us talk about it. What do I mean by simplicity and transparency? A lot of people, unfortunately, today have the mindset that business can only be successful when it's non-transparent and complex. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case in the 21st century. Leaders in the 21st century need to understand the skills required. And that means that leadership in the 21st century creates that intersection between the old-fashioned traditional way of running the business and the new way of running the business. Let's look at this lady. Does she look like somebody who is confused? She looks like she's stressed. She looks like she has no idea what she's doing or where her company is going. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and tell me, when would you be looking like that? When your boyfriend or husband upsets you? When you don't understand what your boss wants, when your parents actually don't understand the reason why you want to do something, and there's no logic in the reason they say you can't do it. Why are people confused? What causes confusion? Why do we need to be simple? Why do we need to be transparent? Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple, but it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. Just think, Steve Jobs said that the simpler the iPhone is, more people will buy it. And he meant that, because the simpler the iPhone got over the years, the more the people bought it. After Steve Jobs passed away, and after his roadmap expired, or the blueprint he left Apple expired or finished, Tim Cook's new blueprint lacked the same level of simplicity that Steve Jobs had brought to Apple. And therefore, there has been wide rumors that a lot of the Apple customers have drifted away to Nokia, or Samsung more importantly. Forget Nokia. They have drifted away to the likes of Samsung, because Samsung offers them a simpler way of using an Android phone. That only happened after Bill Gates came out and spoke out about Microsoft. Microsoft, remember, bought Nokia and tried to make it a phone, and then failed because, again, Bill Gates wasn't able to transform the Nokia old-fashioned mobile technology into a modern smartphone technology. He then tried to change that to a Microsoft phone and come out with his own brand of phone, which also failed. So by Microsoft buying Nokia, by Microsoft going down that track, or by Microsoft trying to take on Nokia technology, by Microsoft trying to go into the mobile business with other types of phones, they failed. Why? Because Microsoft didn't understand how simple mobiles need to be today to be successful. That's why Samsung today are one of the most successful handphone brands in the market, because they've been able to adapt simplicity. They learned the hard way when Apple outsold Samsung. Now, Samsung is directly competing with Apple. In actual fact, if we look at current market trends, Samsung now has some advantage over Apple. Why? Because since Steve Jobs died and his blueprint has run out, the level of simplicity that Tim Cook brings to Apple is not the same. And it comes back to a simple statement. Being simple can be harder than being complex because some people just don't know how to simplify things. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean and make it simple. But it's worth it in the end because once you get there, you can break down mountains. You can move mountains. And ladies and gentlemen, Steve Jobs did that with Apple. Bill Gates could not do that at Microsoft when he tried to launch a mobile phone. Let's move on. The importance of simplicity. Those that aim to be truly customer focused, or as we learned last week, customer centric, need to make simplicity a part of their culture, a part of their mantra, a part of their thinking. They need to simply focus on how they can make life easier for their customers. As we said last week, being able to make life easier for your customers involves you putting yourself in your customer's shoes. Does everybody remember that? Amal, do you remember that? Can you wave your hand? Thank you. Ivana, do you remember that? Thank you. Allah, do you remember what we said about customer centricity, putting yourself in the customer's shoes? Great, excellent, thank you. So understanding your customer means going down to the very simple mindset that your customer has. If you can think like your customer thinks, and you can understand what your customer needs, what they want, how they want it, when they want it, and why they want it, you will be able to deliver a simple strategy, to deliver a product that meets the simplicity that your customer is looking for. The more complex the product, the less opportunity you have to grow your sales, because a lot of consumers today are after the simpler form of a product, whether it's a mobile phone, a smartphone, or anything else. They're after simplicity. Simplicity. Simplicity comes through customer centricity. Customer centricity is understanding what your customer needs, drilling down to the very simple points of why your customer wants your product, putting yourself in your customer's shoes. Simplicity. Customers expect simple, fast, and flawless interactions with their seller or with the retailer or with the service provider. A lot of customers today, post-COVID-19, want to be able to do business digitally, online, through digital interaction, and not just from tech giants. They now expect their local department store, their local supermarket, their local computer shop, their local shoe shop to be online. They even expect your local hairdressing salon to be online so you can make appointments. You can read the profile about the stylist you want. You can look at some of their examples. And if they're really high tech, they would offer you artificial intelligence where you can load your picture with your current hairstyle and see yourself with a new hairstyle before you actually visit that salon. Customers expect simplicity in the way they do business. They want to be able to interact with you in a simpler way. Just like digitization is important and has helped Apple sell more phones since Steve Jobs brought his simple mindset to designing the iPhone. Digitization helped Amazon take over the e-commerce world and become the world's most profitable e-commerce platform during COVID-19. Why? Because they believed in simplicity in the Amazon platform. Uber raised the bar. Uber came up with one of the simplest car booking and food delivery platforms in the world that other companies have now followed, whether it's Grab, whether it's Food Panda. All of them have copied the Uber idea, the Uber digital interaction. They got their idea from Uber. Uber was the first in the world that set that bar. Amazon followed in e-commerce. Apple was a pioneer in our mobile phone technology, or what we call the smartphone age. All of this comes back to simple, fast, and flawless. The importance of simplicity. It's about more than just technology. In today's world, in the 21st century, businesses, organizations must commit to really knowing their customers. You must understand who they are, what they want, and what they need. The organization must understand that those wants and needs all evolve as customers move through the stages of their lives. Unless your organization or business is able to keep up with a simple way of understanding its customer through customer centricity, eventually you will lose those customers to your opposition or your competitor. Remember, customer centricity. Let's talk about some examples of how different businesses can be simple through customer centricity. Okay, who would like to share with me an example how a business that you work for or a company that you know can be simple through understanding its customer? How can they deliver their goods and services in a more simpler way? Could anybody give me an example? Who would like to try? Come on, show me how smart you are today, girls. I've got more girls than guys here today. Talk to me. Who's going to go first? Raquel? You want to go first, Raquel? Good afternoon, Raquel. Open your microphone. Hi, Raquel.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm quite busy, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
Tell me.
speak, or are you busy? You're busy? I'll come back later. Thank you.
No, sir. The question is?
Okay, tell me, how can you give me an example where a company that adopted a simple mindset was able to understand its customers better and better serve its customers? Can you give me an example?
Like for example, the shop that's selling fashion clothes.
Right. How did they make it simpler? What did they do?
Sorry, sir?
So what did they do to bring in simplicity? How did the fashion shop do that?
For example, those items that that the new design, the new design, for example, that most of the items is like, for example, the one that goes in Thailand, we call it the Thailand dress.
Yeah.
They imitate it in a simple way, but an elegant design. That they really copy the exact design, but the thing is, because you're talking about, like for example, H&M or Zara, they really imitate the same design, but in a really simple way, so it could attract the young ladies or the woman that really like those kind of designs.
Thank you very much,
Simple but
Raquel.
elegant.
That was a very good example. Thank you, Raquel. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And Raquel's example is fairly definitive in the fashion industry, because when Zara made a mark on the fashion industry globally, the idea Zara came out was to take fashion to a simpler form, but keep it elegant. And that's why Zara clothes are cheaper than when you buy Louis Vuitton or Versace or some designer brands. That's why Zara has been able to unequivocally win over a lot of young customers, millennial customers. Why? Because they deliver very elegant, fashionable, and trendy dress mode, but it is very simple, and they're able to maintain a more economical price bracket so people can afford it. Thank you, Raquel, for sharing that. Who else would like to share with me an example? Who put their hand up? Okay, let's speak to Donquave Gideon. Hi, Donquave. Can you open your microphone, please? Hi, are you there, sir? Go ahead. Are you there, Mr. Gideon? I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. Let's try someone else. Yes, go ahead,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to use just a simple example.
Yes, go ahead.
We were to provide water for some remote communities in some part of Ghana, Africa.
Yes.
And then we went to places where World Vision and some other organizations have dug a borehole for them, but it is hand pump. You need to bring your container and come to the water, pump it, and fetch it home.
By hand, yes.
So we decided that we will want to lay pipes in the town, dig a different borehole, lay pipes in the town, connect the water to their various homes, so that even if you are in your kitchen, you can fetch water without toil. And
Wonderful.
then with this, the communities are very happy with our projects, and they are following us every day for us to come and dig more water for other communities.
And when you think of that, Dongwave, it was simply applying the rule of simplicity, that if I can get the water straight to their homes, they will not complain of the inconvenience that they have to come to town and pump it. Because when they are inconvenienced, they will still give World Vision a bad name. Why can't World Vision deliver it to us? We're poor. We don't have money for food. We need energy to go and carry it. So what you've did is adopted a simple method to actually meet customer expectations. Very good example, Donkwave. Thank you very much. That's a very good example. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on. Let's talk to Marites. Hi, Marites. What's your example?
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, hi. Tell me, what's your example?
We're here in Malaysia. We're in a laundry dry cleaning company.
Yes.
Now the company is launching because before we used to charge dresses the prices according to sizes. Now they all make it simple, so regardless of sizes, so the price all same one. They say shirt.
Let me tell you, if a laundry charges you by the size of dress, then they're breaking the law internationally because you're discriminating against people who wear larger sizes. So the reason I assume they did that is because in the 21st century, people will start talking on social media that this laundry charges me more because I wear a bigger size, which is discrimination. And I guess if they didn't structure their pricing based on the type of garment rather than the size of garment, they would have found themselves out of business. So I don't think it was of choice. I think they had to do it. And this is one of the reasons why it's very important to be transparent. And you've made up a very good point, because if they're not transparent and be honest with their customer that they're charging based on the item and it's not because of the size, and even if they kept that a secret, that they're charging for the item, but eventually two customers send you the same item and blog on social media that there's a difference in price, people will lose trust in the transparency of that brand. And it's not only the simplicity in their pricing structure, but also their honesty and transparency. But from that example, they would not have done that because they want to. They have done that because they're afraid of the negative remarks that social media may bring and the discrimination they're causing by saying because you wear a bigger size, you pay more for your laundry. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Sorry, it's Malaysia, sir.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't live in Malaysia, but I go to Malaysia to eat the food, great food, but I won't live there. All right. But I've heard of two companies in the world doing that, one in Malaysia and one in the US. And both in the last 2 years have changed their practices. The one in the US was almost sued by consumers for discrimination because they wore larger clothes. So I assume your company learned from that and changed its practices. But very good
Yes, now I
example.
know. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Marites. Thank you
Thank
for the
you, thank you.
example. Let me talk to someone else. Lydia, what's your example? Lydia, unmute your microphone.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hi, Lydia. What's your example? Go ahead.
Yes, so my example is the logo of Apple. So when we know that, when we see the Apple logo of, we know that it represents the computer company. And so it's very simple because it's just like a apple fruit with one bite. So there is the simplicity, but we know when we think of Apple, it's very in demand. And when we think of the technology, it's like updated always. So they use simplicity, but in a sophisticated way.
And they transfer the simplicity and the simple design of the apple as their logo. Am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You're on the right track, Lydia. Thank you so much for that.
Thank
Very
you,
good.
sir.
Excellent. Let's go to one more hand that's gone up. Beniga Jenna. Hi, Beniga. Would you like to unmute your microphone? Where are you, Beniga? Okay, Beniga, can you unmute your microphone? Go ahead. Hi, how can I help you? Go ahead.
I'm here in salon. The simplicity that I can share is our salon is not good ambiance. It's not new. It's very old salon. Like the other competitor, their salon is very new and there are a lot of nice decoration, nice polish.
Yeah.
But one thing that we can offer to the client is our service, our
Right.
good customer service. We offer some coffee. We service a good quality, even though our salon is not good.
All right. So what are you telling me? By being simple and not being high tech, you're meeting the customer's expectations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
What
and
sort-
just
what-
reach the customer expectation.
Okay. What sort of business are you in? What sort of business is it?
Working salon.
Okay. All right. So when you say that, your customers prefer a simpler type of salon. They don't want high tech, right? Is that what you're saying to me? They want good down to earth customer service and they want coffee and they want to be looked after. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's good because what you're telling me, Jenna, is that you understand your local customer demographic, okay? In your city, the local customers want that. But if I was to take your business to a mainstream city like Manila, where there is more teenagers and people in their 20 to 35 age bracket, then that customer demographic might change and you may have to change the way you do business. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Okay, but it's very good. So you understand that simplicity has to be in line with you understanding your customer. Very good answer, Jenna. Very good. Thank you so much. All right, I can ask one more example. Who wants to give me an example? Put your hand up. Who was first? I need to follow the order here. I've got hands going up everywhere. Let me take another gentleman. Mr. Majaki Ramarumo. Hi, Majaki. What's your example? Go ahead.
Okay. My example is of the service provider, the internet service provider, whereby these people, they are transferring money through using the cell phones. You can got money every time, 24/7. That is, whether it's night or day, it's there. So it's simple in this manner.
That's why Western Union has now come up with a mobile app, an online app, because beforehand people had to go to a money transfer agency. Very good idea, Majaki. And the one that uses a simpler app, which is simpler to understand, usually generates more transfers. Very good, very good. It's because these organizations now understand that customers don't want to have to go to their office. They want to do it from the comfort of their own home. Thank you very much, Majaki. Very good example. Thank you, sir. All right, who else? Let me take one more and then I'll move on to the next PowerPoint. Who's next? Cressida Eleni. Hi, Cressida. Can you unmute your microphone?
Oh, hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, tell
Yeah,
me.
from UAE.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, I had example is that working in a convenience store here in UAE.
Yeah.
Because our office our store is near the offices area. What we did for the convenience of the customer, we do free delivery to
Yeah.
them. We will go to their offices, even just one item only, or not more than item. We will
Yes.
deliver to them for their, and then fast delivery also, and then
Actually,
free delivery to them. Yes.
yeah, that's good, but you'll find that that is the trend with all supermarkets in the UAE now. I mean, I used to live in Dubai and I used to order one
Yeah.
can of Coke and
Yeah.
they would deliver. So that's something that the UAE has become known for, because in the UAE, the majority of consumers will not walk out because of the
Yeah.
weather from March through October. So
Yeah.
that is an expectation. And if you don't do that in the UAE, you lose market share. But that's a very good way of explaining it. But that's not only being very simple, but that is truly understanding the demographic of customers in the UAE. And it's not only because of customer mindset, it's also because of the weather and the heat, that people can't be bothered walking all the way and carrying bags back. So it's basically a must, not a choice for businesses or supermarkets, unfortunately, in the UAE. But a very good example. Thank you so much. All right. Let me talk to one more person and I need to go back to the lesson. Relima Welo, would you like to unmute your microphone, please?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Relima. Give me your example.
Okay, I'm from Papua New Guinea. I work for a pharmaceutical company. I see that our company, when there's an order, it doesn't take a very long time. Like it takes, if there's an order placed, we normally deliver it after like 30 minutes. So that's like within 3 weeks. So I see that that's really, that's one of the good examples of
what are the
simplicity.
goods that your company delivers?
Pharmaceuticals.
Okay, well, in the age of pharmaceuticals now, that could be an added advantage to your industry, because the people who use it, the end user, which is mostly B2B, I assume, business to business. Would I be correct?
Yep.
All right, they need it very quickly. So the quicker you deliver, the larger market share you'll capture. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yes, and also like the patients are there waiting for
Absolutely right. So what you're saying to us is that most of your customers are hospitals or medical institutions, and you're selling B2B, and you are a specialized pharmaceutical provider, and your products are required to save human lives. So I guess the reason your company does that is because they're trying to meet industry standards. And by saying to their business to business customer, whether it's a hospital or a doctor's clinic, I understand that you need this for your customer, so I will deliver within so many minutes or so many hours. That's a very smart move by your company. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Lima. Do you find that your customers now are more comfortable dealing with you?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
And you get less customer complaints because you always deliver on time, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you don't get sued because a customer died because you delivered late. Because if you don't deliver medication on time and a customer dies, you could be held negligent and you could be taken to court as a company. So I guess they're doing that to try to prevent litigation. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Good example, everyone. Very good examples. You're all listening and thinking like students. All right, let's go back to my lesson and let's continue talking about the subject at hand. So remember, simplicity needs to be a core of you being able to commit to knowing your customers. Very simple, down to earth, demographical information, which will attract the customer to do business with you. Simplicity, by definition, is the quality or condition of being easy to understand or do. Simplicity is a choice for you as a business. You choose to whether be simple and discriminate against those who want to be complex. It's a crystallization that needs to develop by seed from the root. So simplicity needs to be something that the people at the very top of your company push all the way down to the bottom of the company, vice versa, and the bottom pushes simplicity all the way up. The ability to simplify means to eliminate losing customers, to eliminate the chance of not understanding your customer, to eliminate the chance of losing business due to complexity or having your customers go somewhere else. Look at Apple. Since Steve Jobs died and Tim Cook took over, a lot of loyal Apple users found that the level of complexity in the iPhone keeps on going up. The idea of simplicity is no longer as basic, as pure, and as simple as Steve Jobs had it. People have gone to the simpler smartphone and they've decided to go to Samsung because they believe that the Samsung version of the smartphone, even though it doesn't use iPhone technology, even though that it uses just simple Android technology, is now simpler than the iPhone technology. That is how important it is for simplicity to crystallize throughout your organization in order for you to be able to meet the needs of the 21st century economy. Why simplicity? It allows you or your organization to reduce the clutter and focus on what really matters to its organization. It makes it easier for people to not just understand, but to remember your brand or your quality or the service that you deliver. For example, delivery of medical pharmaceuticals to a hospital within 3 hours. The simplicity of sending your laundry to the laundry and only paying a price based on a shirt rather than having to tell them what size your shirt is or lie to them because you don't want to pay the higher price for a larger shirt. Simplicity. Now that we've spoken about simplicity, let's talk about this picture here. Let's talk about this picture here. In this picture here, we see people talking. What if, and I know this sounds cookie, we were transparent in our communications. Look at them. Do they look transparent? I don't think so. I think they look like they're confused. Look at them all. Only one person there is standing up. They're all looking at him and they're staring. Do they understand? Do you think there's transparency? There's no transparency. They're confused. Can you imagine that if the people in your own company, your C-suite, are confused, the people who work for you are confused, will your customers be confused? Who thinks your customer will be confused? Anybody would like to answer that? If there's confusion and a lack of transparency and honesty within your organization's C-suite, you all know what I mean by C-suite, right? Leadership. If there's a lack of transparency at leadership, and leadership cannot think simplicity, do you think that only your employees will be confused, or will your customers also be confused? Will it affect one or both? Who can answer that? Let's talk to Shakil. Shakil, will it affect only your customer or both your customer and your employees? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. If the leadership is confused in making decisions, so it's a trickle-down effect. Not only the employees in the company will be confused, but also the customers will be confused about the products and the services provided by the company. So it's basically
yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's basically a trickle-down effect. I'm saying that it goes from top leadership to the bottom level, and from there on to the customers.
Absolutely.
So if the leadership, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go on, finish. No, please finish what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm done. That's all I have to say.
Okay,
Thank you.
so let me just give you an example, Shakil. If you go to a laundry site and you say, I want to send a business shirt, then they ask you what size is that business shirt, and then they price you based on how big the size you wear are. That becomes very complex. And customers will run away because they're confused. Why is it that my shirt is extra small? It only costs $6. My shirt is small. It costs $6.50. Both shirts are going in the same washing machine. Do you understand how deep the level of complexity gets? Yes or no? Shakil? Can you open your microphone and speak, sir?
Yes, I do, because yeah, I understand your point.
Thank
Sorry,
you
my
very
mic was
much.
muted. Sorry.
Thank you, Shakil. All right, let's go on. Who else would like to talk to me? I've got another hand here. Alu, yeah, go ahead, Alu. What's your example? Go ahead.
Good morning.
Yeah, hi. What's your example? You need to switch on your camera. Do you have an example for me? Okay, I'll come back to you. Thank you. Let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation. So as it says here, as the slide says, ladies and gentlemen, as the slide says, that it is real. What if I might know, but it sounds cookie to everybody else? Now, if everybody else says it sounds cookie and they're looking at you like that and they don't understand, it means it lacks simplicity and it also lacks transparency. Let's talk about transparency. To succeed in the 21st century, business must be transparent and not ignore the correlation between worker happiness, workplace transparency through C-suite and managers who offer transparency, earning the respect and devotion of their team, which comes back to it. If the C-suite leadership are not transparent with their managers and the managers are not transparent with their employees, therefore there'll be a lack of transparency throughout the company, and that lack of transparency will be transitioned onto the customer. So if you can't even have transparency, honesty through simplicity in your own organization, that will eventually have a drip down effect, as one of our fellow students said, onto the customer. And as a result, you will lose customers and lose market share. Transparency is the quality of being easily seen, while transparency in a business or governance context refers to being open and honest, okay? So to be transparent means to be able to deliver your message easily. It means to be open and honest with your customer and your market share. Does everybody understand the meaning of open and honest? Can you wave your hands to me, please? Wave your hands. Great, excellent. Let's talk about the implications of transparency. What will transparency bring to the business? What benefits will transparency bring? Transparency will bring improved customer relationships. It will bring increased trust to the brand and the brand presence in your market. It will engage employees and create greater employee engagement. And if more employees are engaged, they will produce higher productivity due to a better understanding of where the company's going. It will bring an enhanced reputation in the company by employees of management and C-suite. It will also bring an enhanced reputation for the company in its customer market share. It will enable the company to make better decisions through a simplified, transparent, open decision-making process, which they might not be able to do if people are not transparent from the top down. Because if the top down is not transparent, then the people in the middle can't make the right decisions because they don't have the correct information. Let's talk about 7 principles of governance, corporate governance, that are fundamental in the 21st century. You do not need to write these down. You will receive the PowerPoint with email with your certificates, as you did in the previous BizTalk. The first principle of corporate governance, which relies on a very strong element, talks about integrity, it talks about equity, and both of those are core components of transparency. Integrity, it requires people within the company to perform their duties honestly and in accordance with the moral principle. That is transparency. Transparency, make goals and methods of achieving them visible to all affected by the business. Let them understand, let them see it. Do not keep secrets. Reliance, seek guidance from management, council, and other trusted advisors. Now, if management won't guide you, it means they lack openness, they lack transparency. Legal compliance, make sure you follow the rules and regulations set by your local laws and government or international laws to be able to remain and demonstrate that you're a socially responsible company. Remember, today more than ever, if you are not legally compliant or not socially responsible, you can actually damage your brand because more people will go to social media. Corporate governance with transparency means equity. You need to treat all stakeholders fairly, honestly, and equitably. You need to maximize, you need to maximize transparency. You need to maximize communication so that all messages are clear and transparent. You need to maximize delivery of information on how, when, and why you do things. You need to minimize conflict and conflicts of interest within the organization or within the legal framework within which you operate. You need to protect your data. Keep non-public information secure and confidential. Be transparent that your data is secure. Do not tell people that your data is secure when it's not, because that will cause you more problems, loss of credibility, loss of reputation, and probably you will face the consequences from your local government authorities because you were not able to protect data in line with data protection laws and regulations, which are now international. And if you don't have data protection laws in your own country, but your company is one that wants to be respected and respected for corporate governance, you should still be following international data protection practices. So all of this is part of governance, trust, ethics, being moral in what you do, and protecting the information that your customers, whether consumer or business customers, give you. In the 21st century, social media and other communication means that even actions intended to be secret may be brought into the public's awareness, despite an organization's best efforts to keep them hidden. All you need is one of your employees that you've terminated or disgruntled to go and screenshot things and put them on social media about the fact that you're not being transparent, not being ethical, not being honest, and keeping secrets from the public. Even though it may be a secret in your company, but now through social media, all you need is one disgruntled employee, one disgruntled customer to find out and tell the world. What are the best practices for avoiding data breaches within your organization? They are to update your employees on your organization's security policies, to consistently apply necessary software patches and updates on all your systems so your mainframe, your systems cannot be breached or hacked. Update your Boyd, bring your own device and data security policies. Restrict what information your employees can put on their own laptops or own devices. Conduct ongoing vulnerability assessments to measure if there's any risks in your company of data being leaked or breached. Always implement a very strong and transparent data backup and data recovery process and plan. Always conduct penetration testing to evaluate how secure your systems, your policies, and customer data is within your own organization. Use strong password and passphrases. The longer, the better. Most companies now require their employees to have 8-character minimum passwords made up of capital and lowercase letters, numbers, and also characters. Implement proven malware protection to prevent attacks. Do not leave your computer software open to malware because you're trying to save a few dollars on malware protection or programs that protect your computer from cyber breaches or cyber thieves or cyber hackers. There is hundreds of programs out there, Norton's, McAfee, and there is many others that companies can use. Leadership is the art of giving people a platform for spreading ideas that work. In order for this to happen, you must have transparency. You must have simplicity. That is two of the core ingredients that you need. Otherwise, you will not be able to deliver leadership in the way that you need to. Because if leadership does not trickle from the top down with simplicity, transparency, honesty, and clarity, and compliance with law, then the people at the bottom will not do as the leadership does, because they would not know what the leadership is doing or what the leadership wants them to do. In order for you to give people within your organization the ability to understand and being able to spread the same work culture, you need to be able to deliver transparency and simplicity from the top down and from the bottom up. In the words of Steve Jobs, leadership is the art of giving people a platform for spreading ideas that work. Leadership in the 21st century means transparency that helps to motivate employees. It means that from the top down, you need to communicate openly, honestly. You need to allow the people that work for you to understand what the company wants to achieve, how it's going to achieve it, and the problems they may face along the way. This will help the people that work for you understand how their efforts can contribute to the goals and objectives of the company. Open communication is the only way forward for a company who wants to continue business in the 21st century. Remember, the average lifespan of a company, a corporate entity, an organization is about 15 to 20 years. For those who adopt change, they will surpass that. For those who don't adopt change, who don't adopt simplicity and transparency, their lifespan may be even shorter, 2, 3, 5, 7 years at the most. because they don't understand their customers. They're not honest and transparent. The people in the organization lack the belief or the trust in their leadership. The people in the organization don't understand the objectives of the organization. The organization will fail. Through transparency and leadership, employees will become more trusting of their leadership if they feel that leaders are communicating with an open mindset and honestly. Employees trust, and employees trust, the workers trust, fosters loyalty, which means they will provide a higher level of support, a higher level of engagement, a higher level of productivity, and that means you will have a higher level of employee retention. Because if your employee retention falls, that means people are leaving your company. It means you have to hire more people, train more people, and that will cost money, increase your overheads, increase your costs, and probably affect the level of service and delivery of service delivered to your customers because of a shortage of manpower or trained manpower. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Do we all understand what I mean by that? What is the difference between a leader and a follower? Who can tell me? What is the difference between a leader and a follower? Who would like to put up their hand and tell me? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, let's talk to Daniel. Hi, Daniel. What is the difference? Can you tell me? Go ahead, Daniel. Can you unmute your microphone, Daniel? Are you there, Daniel? I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you. Adamo Barca, would you like to unmute your microphone? Yeah, tell me, what is the difference?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. Yeah, go ahead. What is the difference? Yes, what is the difference?
Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you. What is the difference?
Hello?
I can't hear you, Adamo. You need to fix
No.
your microphone. I'm sorry.
Okay, I can talk
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was the other person talking actually.
What is the difference?
Okay, the difference between a leader and a follower is innovation through consistency and then development. Innovation.
Give me an example of innovation, please.
Okay. For instance, here in Nigeria, there is this company that I so much like. So they were doing their things actually in a traditional way. Everything they do in a traditional way, but they tend to adapt the new technology that is running, and then they implement it in their university. Now they are using the innovation and the technology as a tool to lecture students, even when the whole country was going down because of some insurgency in the part of the country. They were so innovative to the extent that the university was still running online.
So that means they were delivering lectures online. That is the technology?
Yes.
Okay, well, that is not new. That is not new, Adamo. Millions of universities and schools went online. So all universities took that step with innovation. They may have had very advanced software, that is possible. But I totally agree with you, Adamo. Yes, I totally agree with you. That is how they build a following. Do you have any other examples?
No, not really, but the one that surprised me there was the platform they used for their examination. It wasn't just it wasn't common. It wasn't common. So they created their own platform, and then it was so breathtaking.
Well, that's wonderful. Which university is it? Maybe you can share it with me in the Zoom chat. I'd love to read about their system. I thought we had a pretty good system, but I'd love to read about it. I love to learn from my academic colleagues. Please share the name of the university with me in the chat box, if you could, please. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk to someone else. Yeah, Shakil, what would you like to add? Go ahead, Shakil.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I would say that leader is the one who knows the way, who goes the way, and who shows the way. And he's proactive, whereas the follower is not as much proactive. He mostly relies on the leader. So leader has this sense of foresightedness.
And that's the difference between a C-suite 21st century leader who leads and people follow compared to a traditional manager who pushes, gives orders, and employees don't understand, so they run. Do you understand that?
Exactly.
Remember?
Exactly.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's talk to someone else. Yeah, go ahead, Victoria. Would you like to share something? Go ahead. Are you there, Victoria? Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I'm here. Do you hear me clearly, sir?
Yes, go
And
ahead.
yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so for the difference between leaders and followers, traditionally leaders are those people who are willing to step up and take control of a project. They enjoy challenge and embrace challenges, while followers, this is traditional definition, followers are really forced to do the tasks or the challenges for the project. But talking about 21st century situation, leaders and followers are now one team. They are equally important. They require responsibility and interact with each other. And the leader must be a follower also. The
Absolutely,
leader,
because the leader has to follow the people below him and they have to follow him. Very well said. Thank you, Victoria. Very well said. Very well said. Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let's go on. Does anybody else want to add anything before I go on? Okay, great. So basically, the difference between leaders and followers. Remember, I told you last week that the old-fashioned traditional manager would usually dictate, and probably the people that he dictates to don't really understand because he simply tells them what to do. He doesn't ask and explain. He doesn't lead by example, so they run. They distance themselves away from him. However, with a leader who shows them and shows them hands-on or leads by example, by understanding the problems they face doing the task and sharing with them or letting them speak and share their ideas on how to undo those problems or overcome those problems, that's when leadership takes effect. And as the young lady just said, as Victoria just said, leadership today requires the leader to be a follower, but the followers to be led by someone who can command their following. And it's just like an army at war. If the soldiers don't follow the leadership of the commander on the battleground, they will lose the war. And it's the same within any company. Leadership versus follower. Today, more than ever in the 21st century, followers need to follow their leader. The leader needs to be a follower as well. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Great. Transparency is key to business success. By making data or information readily available to employees and the public, leaders can hold their business accountable and ensure that every step of the organization takes in its own best interest. So that means every step, every decision, every product that the organization offers, they'll be doing so in the best interest of their own organization. And if they do it in the best interest of their own organization, they are doing it in the best interest of their customer by understanding their customer's needs. The external return on investment checks out too, because if you provide more readily available information to your employees and you provide more readily available information to your consumer or customers, showing them that you understand what they need, when they need it, and why they need it, they will pay you back by investing their money in buying your product or services. That means a larger external return on the investment you're making by being transparent. And in order to be transparent, you need to practice what we call simplicity. In the eyes of customers, transparency is business is synonymous with being ethical. Because if you are not transparent in today's business world, you are being unethical and untrustworthy. Based on surveys done recently by Label Insight, who's one of the world's leading consulting firms on collecting statistics from businesses, they found that 94% of consumers prefer brands that practice transparency. So if your brand is transparent about being environmental friendly, or about reducing costs, or about the way they do business, and doesn't keep secrets, consumers are more friendly towards those brands. When companies aren't forthcoming to their consumers, consumers will usually ask for information elsewhere. They will go online, they will chat with their friends, and if they uncover any information which they feel they have been lied about or told about incorrectly or misrepresented or kept a secret from them, there is a very good chance today that they'll go to social media and damage your brand. So why let a third party source siphon off that customer loyalty when you would be earning it yourself? So if a third party steals your information and goes and tells the world through social media that you have lacked transparency to your customers, you have not been honest and upfront with your customers, that third party will basically be practicing or doing his best to take your customers to the competitor. Would it not be cheaper for you to keep those customers by actually building a brand based on transparency, where you, at the end of the day, attract customers from the third party who is trying to take your customers? One's job is so much easier once he or she admits that while one has some good ideas about the job I'm doing, one doesn't have all the answers. One needs to be prepared to work as part of the team. One needs to be able to understand the chemistry in the whole team in order to deliver the best service or product to its customer. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Can you all wave your hands to me? Okay, great. What I'd like to do, if I may, we'll take just a 2-minute break, and I'll come back in 2 minutes, give you all a 2-minute break to get a drink or go to the restroom. All right, we'll take a 2-minute break. I've got people messaging me they need to go to the restroom. So please take a 2-minute break. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you for that short break. We will continue our session. Is everybody back? We'll just give a few seconds so everybody switches on their camera again. I need everybody to switch on their cameras. Do please remember, if you switch off your camera at any time throughout this session, you will not receive a certificate for this session. Your camera must be switched on every single minute of the BizTalk. Otherwise, no certificate of attendance will be issued. Okay, let's go back to today's lesson, if I may. So remember that transparency builds trust. As I said, transparency brings trust. Employees, through transparency, basically will give you a better performance. Employees can only be as effective as the information or as effective as the knowledge they have about the company or what their role or job is. If your company can't give the employee clear understanding of what their job is, why they should do it, and how they should do it, they will not be able to perform to the best of their ability and give you maximum productivity. This is why many large companies now have gone on to reorganize from the original top-down structure towards a more decentralized decision-making strategy where managers at each level are able to make decisions without having to keep referring to the very top level, which may be based in another country. In order to do this, in order to practice a decentralized decision-making strategy, companies have to create what we call academically the internal wikis. And I will explain that to you in a minute. What do I mean by an internal wiki? It is a very simple definition. Does anybody here know what an internal wiki is? Does anybody want to raise their hands? Does anybody know what an internal wiki is? No? Okay, let's talk about it. An internal wiki. An internal wiki is a knowledge sharing website that allows your employees to collaboratively add, edit, and maintain content that is relevant to your business and its practices. And this is usually known to most companies as the intranet. So companies today, just bear with me for a moment, would you please? So companies today who want to decentralize have to have an intranet so their employees all over the world understand what the company wants, what the company expects, and they can read about things that are being decided by senior management. Whether you go to Amazon, Microsoft, all of them have what we call intranet or internal wikis. The next element in the decentralized decision-making strategy is making all Slack channels public. That means that when you share information on your wiki, share information about anything that could be of interest to your employees so they understand your company better. Of course, you don't share company profitability or financial budget, sensitive human resources records or matters about people's salaries or ages. Otherwise, anything generic about your company or the way your employees need to perform, you should share as Slack. You need to empower your employees to make decisions and act on potentially game-changing ideas without having to wait for approval from leadership. Because by decentralizing, you're giving that employee in each division or that manager in each division the power to act rather than having to delay a customer, wait for head office in another country to approve it. By that time, the customer has gone elsewhere. Everybody within the organization all around the globe has to be aligned on the company's direction, on their team's role in achieving the company's goals. So head office has to communicate to all their offices around the world. Managers all over the world have to communicate all the way down. So the communication has to come directly from C-level or C-suite all the way down to your managers, supervisors, team leaders, all the way down to your secretary or clerk. Employees must feel empowered. Even the cleaner should feel empowered to take the dirty cup and wash it without having to ask the person who sits at that desk, "Can I wash your cup?" As I explained before, an internal wiki is very similar to an intranet, which most companies call it. It's an internal wiki, which is a computer shared page or platform that only internal employees of the company can access to read about information relevant to that company, its business, or its practices. Let's talk about the wiki. A company wiki could include documents that employees all over the world need to access. It could include notes of minutes from meetings that they could refer to without having to contact another office all over the world. It could share ideas and retrospectives of experiences or feedback from customers that might benefit them in doing business with that customer again. It could include the company's goals and the company's KPIs and objectives. And it should also include feedback from everybody within the company, from the top down and from the bottom up. So everybody is working based on the same understanding of the company's goals, the company's values, the company's mission, and the company's service delivery standards and or processes. This is something that the wiki or your intranet should share. It involves not only documents, it involves goals, incentives, meeting notes, perspectives, retrospectives, feedback, anything to do with the way the company operates, and any information that will help give your staff or employees the knowledge they need to make decisions and empower them by giving them the confidence that they understand what they're talking about. High performance team models. How can you ensure that your team in your organization is a high performance team? In order to have a high performance team, we need to start with the basic. You need to have clear strategy for your company, clear definitions of the roles and how different departments should cooperate and interdepend on each other. The next one you need to have is a corporate structure of leadership rather than the old-fashioned management. You need to have an open form of communication for cooperation, because without that, what you're basically doing is depriving the people to understand the processes. So the method of cooperation means the effective description of processes. And that means transparency by communicating your processes, your procedures clearly to everybody within your organization. There has to be excellent communication skills in force in order for you to have cooperation through an effective process. If you don't have effective communication, excellent communication, you will not have effective process, because somebody will not do the process as required because it has not been communicated correctly. Cooperation means communication. Communication is the core essence of cooperation. And all of this means that the company throughout its organizational structure must have solid relationships between higher management all the way down the hierarchy and all the way back up the hierarchy. It must be transparent, it must be honest, and it must be open. Otherwise, employees will not be able to deliver a higher level of productivity because they either don't understand, don't know, or have never been told what the goals, the vision, and the mission of the company are. And these are things that employees should be reminded of on a regular basis, whether it's through your wiki or intranet or through regular briefings with their manager on a weekly or monthly basis. These are critical for any business who wants to survive in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, let's ask realistically, companies who go out of business in the 21st century are as a result of three reasons. One, they did not understand their customer and put themselves in their customer's shoes. Therefore, they lost market share and went out of business. Two, it's because senior management, leadership, C-suite, C-level did not understand the business, nor did it let its middle management get involved or listen to them. 3, it's because the people who worked for them were not motivated enough to give their best, because they at senior management did not understand what their customer wants, what they need, why they want it, and when they want it. Therefore, they were not able to translate that down to their staff, and their staff were able to deliver that to their customer. That's why those customers went out of business, or those customers took their business to another business, driving that business out of business. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Wave your hands. Come on, wake up, everyone. Jocelyn, are you listening? Okay, good. Amal, are you listening? Okay. All right, let's go on. You don't need to take a photo of this diagram. You will get this through email early next week. Remember, transparency is related to productivity because it leads to more trust between employees and management. Management starting with level C or C-suite all the way down through better communication and a greater level of dedication and engagement. If they have trust, if they have transparency, okay, they will be more open to engaging with their managers and showing more interest on getting things done. With transparent relationships in the company, in the organization, every employer, every leader can definitely count on their team members to do the job they are expected to do, not just sit there and pretend as if they're doing their job. That is a reality of today's 21st century office, 21st century company. Many old-fashioned leaders, traditional leaders, think that all their staff are busy. Many times do I walk through organizations, staff are fiddling their fingers because they already finished the work, but they only finish that work in their own mindset because they don't truly understand what level of quality or what level of work they should be delivering due to a lack of transparency. Therefore, they can't deliver the productivity that they would be expected to deliver by a leader of the 21st century or a company who meets the requirements of the 21st century today. Let's talk about the 20th century versus the 21st century. Let me get my pointer. Just one moment, please. Okay, let's look at it. In the 20th century, the average person had 1 to 2 jobs. They were required to only learn and master one job or one field. They were taught to only remember one thing about the job and get to know it very well. And they were only assessed or rewarded for one skill or one task. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case in the 21st century organization who wants to survive. The average number of jobs that the average employee may be exposed to or tasks ranges from 10 to 15. In some bigger corporations that are more manpower lean, it could go up to 20. Today, jobs require you to have a more critical thinking ability and practice critical thinking across all disciplines of your job. If it's in customer service, on how to answer the phone, how to speak to customers, being able to explain the product via product knowledge, being to explain how you can help them, being empathetic to the customer, putting yourself in the customer's shoes. In the 21st century, people, employees are expected to master not only the job they do, but everything that's related to the type of business they work in or the role in the company that they hold. For example, if you go to a hairdressing salon, your stylist should not only know how to shampoo your hair, cut your hair, he should also know how to color your hair, advise you on the right hairstyle based on your face, whether it's long, round, etc. He should also, or she should also be advised you on whether your hair needs to be treated with vitamins and conditioner. Not only does he know how to cut hair or she know how to cut hair, they need to know everything about being a hairstylist, hair coloring, everything there is to know about working in a salon. So mastering all the skills that apply in the job they work in or industry they work in. Does everybody understand my simple example? Can everybody wave their hands if they understand? I'm trying to keep it simple. All right, good. All right, so does everybody understand the difference between the 20th century and the 21st century? Yes, I want all of you to remember this. All of you young people here who may have just started your working career or about to start your working career. They go for all the regular students here, Lydia, Marites, Priya. There's all of you here. There's 197 of you here. I'm so honored to have you here. People like Amal, who last week was switched off, but then after I explained it to her, she was right on the ball. I'm so proud of her. Relima, you understand what I mean, my friend? Mr. Relima, wave your hand. Thank you. Cressida, do you understand? Thank you. Shakil, do you understand what I mean? Can you switch on your camera and wave your hand, Shakil? The photo means nothing to me, Shakil. I need to see you, sir. Aliu, do you understand what I'm saying, Aliu? Aliu, can you wave your hand? Thank you. All right, does everybody else here understand what I'm saying? Jocelyn Catlong, do you understand? Thank you. Esther, thank you. Thank you. Dolores, do you understand, Dolores? Thank you. Jasmine, Hakka, do you understand? Thank you, Adham. Do you understand, Tridin? Thank you, Tridin. Amy Kusi, you here today? Hi, Amy. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Amy? Thank you. Alyssa, do you understand, Alyssa? To my co-host, Mr. Amala, do you understand? Of course he understands. Thank you, sir. All right. You need to understand, Amala, because you need to know everything about BizTalk. That's why you're so helpful, and we have over 200 students watching us in BizTalk. Thank you, Amala. Okay, Amy, do you understand what I'm talking about, Amy? You look so beautiful today, Amy, in your blue top. You look so fashionable. You look like a girl who just came off a spaceship with your beautiful blue outfit. Very nice, Amy. Keep it up. That's what I call being eccentric. That's what I call being fashionable. That's what I call living in the 21st century economy. Very good work, Amy. I'm proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Yes or no? Luong, do you understand, Luong? Luong Chiu Ni, can you wave your hand to me, Luong? Thank you. All right, good stuff. Thank you, everyone. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. So what we need to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that today more than ever in the 21st century, without transparency, without simplicity, your business will fail. Does everybody understand that? Let's go back and talk about some corporate failures that failed due to a lack of simplicity and a lack of transparency, but more importantly, a lack to understand their customer or listen to their customer. I gave you an example many weeks ago, and I gave it to you in the last BizTalk, and that was Nokia of Finland. Nokia started with the banana phone, which I remember my co-host, my boss here today, Mr. Amala, said he had at his first phone, the good old-fashioned Nokia banana slide up and down phone with the little black and white screen. Nokia thought that customers only need that phone. But what Nokia did was they failed to listen to what their customers want. They weren't interested. They failed to tell the people at Nokia what their strategy was. They simply pushed out these old-fashioned phones that weren't really a smartphone. Eventually, Nokia sold its mobile phone business. Many years after that, they eventually came back. But this time, instead of them designing phones, they now actually have a third party in China design smartphones for them, which are made under license for Nokia, carry the Nokia brand, and are sold as Nokia smartphones. But Nokia learned the hard way because they weren't prepared to become simpler. They weren't prepared to offer an easier to use smartphone, which would allow you to send not only SMS messages like the old Nokia did through your telco provider, but a smartphone now that allows you to use Facebook Messenger, a smartphone that allows you to use WhatsApp or Instagram. The old Nokia phone only ever allowed you to send SMS messages or call somebody's pager for them to call you back. Do you remember those days? Come on. Anybody who used a Nokia should remember those days. Okay, I hated using a pager. I used one for 10 years. It was the worst part of my life because every time my pager would go off, I had to go and find a phone box and 20-cent coin to use the phone box. All right, do you all understand? Nokia failed because of that. Nokia learned the hard way. One example of a company that wasn't prepared to listen to its customers. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Yes or no? I can't hear you, everyone. I need to see hands. I can only see one hand waving. What's going on today? Okay, good. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, what we've covered today is the continuation of what we started about important elements in the 21st century that businesses must adopt, things that businesses have forgotten. We spoke about the unforeseen, the unforgettable, the unexpected, the uncovered, or the things that have not been uncovered, sorry, the covered. We have, in the last 2 BizTalks, tried to deal with things that businesses have not basically identified with, things that businesses have ignored. And that's why businesses have not been able to maintain revenue, maintain their presence in the 21st century economy. That's why businesses all over the world are folding, because before COVID came, they had no business continuity management plan. And after COVID came, there was no innovation. There was no technology. They weren't social media ready. They weren't e-commerce ready. They failed. They weren't listening to their customer. They failed. Do you remember what we learned last week about the importance, sorry, not last week, the week before that, about the importance of transparency, the importance of technology, the importance of information, the importance of customer centricity in the 21st century. What we've done today is we've reinforced that by simply bringing the 2 elements of simplicity, being simple, and being transparent. Because if you're not simple, because you can't be customer centric unless you're simple. So this follows on from what we spoke about at the last BizTalk. And without being simple, you cannot be transparent. Without being transparent, then the message cannot be communicated all the way down from top to bottom. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about and the effects these have on being able to run a business in the 21st century? Yes or no? Wave your hands. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've learned? in the last 2 BizTalks? Please raise your hand. Anyone have any questions? Please talk to me. Anyone? Okay. Yes, Denise, what's your question? Go ahead. Can you unmute your microphone? Dennis, what's your question?
Yes, sir. Hello. Yeah.
Go ahead, Dennis. How can I
hear
help you?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about this being transparency and very simplicity. Most of the company, big company, large company, the problem is for how many years it fails, fails down or the business ruined. It's because of the management or the customers, or we don't know.
It's usually
because I
because of the,
experience it.
Yeah, well, you've answered your own questions, Dennis. No, you've answered your own question. It's basically because it's a lack of transparency to their customer.
Exactly.
And it's basically
how we know?
because, yeah, and it's basically because a lack of simplicity in the way they do business, because they never understood their customer. And the only way you know is to go and dig into that company one by one. Look at Nokia, they failed. Look at Alitalia, they went bankrupt. Look at all these companies that have transcended out of business. Look at BlackBerry. BlackBerry wasn't prepared to simplify the BlackBerry device. They wanted to keep it complicated. They weren't prepared to be transparent about their technology. They didn't want BlackBerry to be able to interlink or share platforms with Android or iPhone. So they weren't able to actually break a door in the market, and they were closed down. They weren't able to break down consumer mountains or the roadblocks that consumers expected of them. Does that give you an understanding, Dennis, of how a company could have failed?
Yes, sir.
Does that explain it? Or would you like me to give you more examples?
Is there any races for these things, for the businesses? Yeah?
Well, how would you know that a business failed and why it failed? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's the also.
Yeah, but the same question applies. If you're asking why a business failed, you simply have to ask, did they understand their customer? Were they customer centric? Was their leadership transparent? Did the staff at the bottom understand what the top was doing? Did the people in the organization understand their goals or the organizational goals? Did the organization understand what the customer wanted or why they wanted it? And I would suggest to you that for any business that has failed, the answer to those 6 elements would be no. Does that answer your question, Dennis?
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else want to ask me any question before I go today? I'm sorry, I'm still recovering a broken voice, so it's a little bit hard to communicate with me at the moment. Samir, you put up your hand. How can I help you, Samir? Go ahead, Samir. Go ahead, Samir.
No.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
What does simplicity mean, and what is the standard to say about something? It is simple or it's not?
If something can be understood by someone without them having to ask questions, it's simple. Okay? If I give my Samsung phone to my 6-year-old daughter and she can use it without asking me, that's simple. If I give somebody a hand phone and tell them they need to read an instruction manual or go through an online tutorial to set it up, that is not simple. Does that give you a simple example of what is simple, Samir? Okay, thank you. All right, let's talk to someone else. Techno Pop. Are you there, Techno? Are you there, Techno? Just bear with me, Techno. Are you there, Techno Pop? What's your question? Go ahead. Mr. Techno Pop. I can't hear you, sir. You need to unmute your microphone. Are you there, Techno Pop?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Wally.
Yeah, hi. Go ahead.
Yes, you said the company has to to be simple and transparent.
Yes, sir.
But you also, yes, then you say that also the company must also keep the secrets of the company. Can you elaborate on that one? Where we need the company needs to be
what I mean by secrets is secrets that they're not supposed to share due to data protection. And that could apply to customers' names, phone numbers, and contact, customers' buying trends, staff salaries, staff profiles, or anything that would affect the company in the way they make their income. For example, if you were producing paint and your paint was a white paint, providing you only tell the consumer what the consumer is required to know, that your paint only contains these chemicals, whether it's washable or not washable, water-based or oil-based, then you're being transparent. But we don't expect you to tell us how you make your paint. That is a trademark. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Wally.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
My pleasure.
I understand.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody else want to ask a question? Yes, Victoria, go ahead. You there, Victoria? Okay, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Anybody else would like? Yes, go ahead, Victoria.
Yes, sir. Just an addendum. For the word simplicity, simplicity doesn't mean poor quality. If we say simple, it's just the company assuring that it's gonna be like the customers will not be hard out on how to use, like what your example, the phone, the Samsung, for example, the Samsung phone. It's very simple on how to use, like even a child can use it, but it doesn't mean poor quality because it's actually the product of, let's say, hard work.
Yeah, but hold on. Simple does not mean poor quality. Simplicity means in the way you deliver the message to the customer or the customer uses it. It has no reference to quality. Quality must still be good and high. Otherwise, people won't buy your simple product. So simple is different to quality. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay, thank you. Do you understand that, Victoria? Okay, I can't hear you, ma'am. Okay, anybody else? Does everybody understand that simplicity and quality are two different factors? Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay. Does anybody else have any questions that the class want to hear? Go ahead. Yeah, Amy Kusi, do you have a question? Go ahead. What's your question? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Because you always said that transparency is you make your business grow. But
yes.
Sometimes, do they have any disadvantage? Because when you're too transparent for the people who work with you, so it means if you're facing a problem in your company, they will know. Some of the persons who's working with you is not that nice. Like they're going to be backfighter or something, or they're going to do the bad thing. Right?
Well, hold on, Amy, you're thinking of it the wrong way. When we mean by transparency, is being transparent about the company's objectives, about the company's direction, and about the company's product and service. Now, if the company's short of money and they're going to retrench someone, they should go out to all their staff and say, we're not doing very well. There may be transparencies, but they should not keep it a secret and just terminate people like some of the big companies in technology have just done. Because what it does is it reflects on the brand. For you as a company, you might say there's no disadvantage in keeping secrets, but there is, because eventually once you let those secrets out, there could be a revolt from your customers and that you could damage brand reputation. You understand what I mean by that?
Yes, sir. This is what I'm having confusion.
Absolutely. So me and you agree on the same principle. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So would you agree that it's important to actually be transparent?
Yes, yeah, for the managerial thing, and then for the customer thing.
Absolutely,
For the-
because if you're not transparent, there's too many disadvantages and there's too many repercussions. Do you understand that, Amy?
Yes, sir.
Good on you, Amy. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions you'd like to ask about today's BizTalk, Amy?
No, I had, sir.
All right.
Understand.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, from me, Wally Rouda, here in Singapore, thank you so much for being part of BizTalk today. Thank you so much for sharing today's session with me. I do invite you, if there is a particular subject you'd like me or one of my colleagues to cover on BizTalk, please drop me a message through WhatsApp. Mr. Amala, please share my mobile number, the one that ends with 2220, with all the people here at BizTalk. If you want to share an idea with me, please feel free. Send me a message, put your name, Samir Darwish, BizTalk, today's date, and say, sir, we'd like to learn about this. And I will try my best to put it down for a forthcoming BizTalk subject. If there's something you'd like to learn to help you at work or to help you throughout your everyday business, please share your ideas with us. And if I have a subject expert here and I can't cover it, we will certainly deliver it to you. Does anybody here have anything else they'd like to ask me today before I go? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. From me down here in Singapore, I bid you all a very good afternoon. I bid you a pleasant evening. God bless you all. And remember, knowledge is a journey of life. The more knowledge you gain, the further you travel in your journey. The more you educate, the more you learn, the more you practice, the more you transfer your knowledge to others, the more you grow and the more successful you'll be. I have been an academic for nearly 39 years now, all right? And the more I learn every day from other professors or academics that I can transfer to my students, and the hope that you will use those skills at work to improve your careers and do better. Remember, never give up on learning. Never stop learning. Never be shy to message Wally and say, Wally, I didn't understand what you explained. Can you explain again? Wally, I disagree with your principle. Can you correct me if I'm wrong? Does everybody understand that? Everyone, can you wave your hands? All right. From me, Wally Rouda, until I see you at the next BizTalk, which will be not next week, the week after. God bless you all. Please look at your email on Monday or Tuesday. You will receive a complete set of PowerPoints. Feel free to come back to me if you have any questions or if you want to know how to apply any of this at your workplace. I look forward to seeing you at the next BizTalk. We look forward to seeing you at the Leadership Series next week, where you will meet either myself or Mr. Benson Ma. I'm a great speaker on leadership. Thank you, everybody. Good night and God bless you all. Good night.